Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Money, Real Business podcast. We record these interviews so that potential buyers can learn more about the business and the seller to help them make an informed buying decision. If you would like to learn more about this business, including details like what type of business it is, how much revenue and profit it makes, and all of the assets included with the business, simply visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business's listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and in the description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you can click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. So without further ado, let's get into this interview. First up, let's learn a little bit about you. Can you tell us about your background in building and running online businesses?
I've been working with WordPress websites for many years and trying to be affiliate websites, blogging since that started. I mean, this is more than 20 years ago. This particular project was the one that really took off. It was personal interest of mine. And I really learned a lot about the affiliate game, email marketing, things like that. So I've been running it for over 10 years. And during it, I've had many great connections with some of the providers. And, it's really been quite a successful industry. And it was just this desire, I guess, to be financially independent, not kind of stuck in an office or stuck in some 9-to-5 for 40 years that I sought out this like alternative way of actually making an income. I was listening to some of the content creators back then, like Pat Flynn, and they were building these niche sites and affiliate websites. And so this was my attempt at it, my first serious attempt. And yeah, it worked out quite well.
Why are you selling the business now instead of keeping it and growing it further?
Well, I think this is a good question. I could certainly keep it. It doesn't require too much upkeep to generate a pretty decent income on a yearly basis due to the kind of guarantee, if you will, of the seasonality. I think eventually I just kind of moved on, and I think it's time to let go of that niche and focus more on other niches, other work that I'm involved in. That's why it took me so long to sell it, because I was actually just thinking, I just keep it. There's no reason to sell it. But, I think there's something to be said about a clear mind. And I do think there's a great value to the side of people who might know how to scale it, might put more resources on it. Maybe someone who's better than CEO or in general content management than I am, to get a lot of ROI out of it. And that's why I ultimately decided to put it up for sale.
Can you describe the amount and the type of work that you do on this business to maintain it?
Actually, I haven't done too much regular work on the site for quite a while. And this is also why I think it's actually an interesting opportunity for some people who are willing to put in a lot more work than I am. But if I were to work on it actively, of course, fresh content is very important. I was always sticking to the email list, making sure that I send out regular emails to keep the audience entertained and interested. And obviously that would come with the occasional promotion as well, but might as well also have been talking about my experiences in the subject or travels or things like that. I originally, of course, back when I started the website, I would spend a considerable amount of time writing content, writing the email automations that are now in place, and basically just networking. I also did a podcast to support the business and the site. But, having reached something like 200 episodes, I feel like that avenue is also pretty exhausted. This is something you can keep doing. I just don't think podcasts these days are that sort of commercial. It's more for audience nurture, I find. So yeah, that's basically these days. I just do the occasional email. Then for the kind of high seasonality of the industry, I will kind of work a little bit harder and set up some promotions and send out a bunch of emails around this one time a year. But there might be other times a year though, there could be similar promotions going on, and there might be new releases and things like that. So there are lots of opportunities to promote. But I do think a potential new buyer or owner of the site could really experience tremendous success by putting in some more effort and creating more fresh content, more unique content, as I haven't done too much of that in recent times.
So, if you were to keep this business, what are some of the ways you would try to grow it?
I've very often thought about keeping the business, and recording this, I'm still thinking I should probably keep it. I think the core is to build some kind of content machine or a content system where you can get regular content, which would be discoverable. So when I started the website, blogging was kind of popular, and SEO wasn't as kind of the state that it is today with all these like AIs and videos and everything in the search results. But when I started it, text results were actually useful and you could write reviews and stuff. These days, I think what I would do is look at creating more video content and, creating maybe video versions of the content that did well on the text side, maybe even partnering with some other people to create that kind of content. Because it's clear to me that in 2025 and beyond, video content is like king. So if you go on YouTube or some of the short video networks, that's really where the attention is these days. And so I think you could easily create more of that type of content and then lead people back to the website and eventually get them to click off to the various affiliate programs based on how you can help the audience the best. I have the email list and sending out regular emails. That, I think, is the kind of way to go about it these days. But of course, it takes a little bit of skill and definitely some effort. It's not for everyone.
Right. And what would you say are the biggest risks with this business that buyers should be aware of?
The biggest risk is what many websites, blogs are facing these days is obviously the changeable nature of Google search results, kind of organic results. It's very hard to understand, well, what makes websites rank these days and how can you get the snippets now that the AI results are out? And how can you kind of get attention to your content basically and get people to click on your affiliate links in the end? So I think one of the biggest risks is definitely if you don't create enough unique content or definitely fresh, unique content, then the kind of rankings and the power of the affiliate programs and links and things is just going to go down over time. I mean, that's just a natural thing. There is attrition in online websites. This project does have the benefit of a kind of a reliable yearly event that usually brings in a high percentage of the year's revenue, which is not dependent on Google or other organic sources. So even if you don't manage to hit the big rankings for the right keywords, you can still use that kind of event as a way to get an ROI, get some of the investment back over time. So I would say the financial risk is relatively small. I think there's a big upside to this project if you really put some effort to it and somebody came in with some technical skill, maybe even some, SEO or writing skills to get some of those organic rankings. But it's obviously no guarantee, and that marketplace is also changing all the time. And then the other risk is in the industry, there is obviously also changes. AI is getting into a lot of industries, and this one is no different. But that also opens the opportunity for new affiliate programs that weren't there before. So I think that covers the risks.
How much support are you willing to offer the buyer who acquires this business?
Because I've been doing this project for so long, I mean, it's been over 11 years since I started this project. It's important for me to find buyers who are respectful of the IP. And that would include giving a proper send-off to me, and allowing me to send a sort of a goodbye message to people and explain where the site is going. Obviously, I can't dictate what a new buyer would do kind of with everything, but I would hope to find a buyer that is willing to keep the audience first and try to keep supporting them in their goals and trying to provide content that they would want to see and not just kind of turn it into some billboard graveyard with tons of affiliate links everywhere and just trying to milk every page view for ad revenue. And with that said, I am more than happy to offer months of support to the new buyers. I'm happy to share all my connections, happy to share all my kind of strategy ideas on what I've done and what I would do if I were still the owner. But certainly in the handover period, let's say a couple of months, making sure that there is an authentic handover and that the audience is respected because they have been members of that site for a long time. Some of them have literally been emailing for, up to 10 years, right? So it's important for me that this happens respectfully. And for that reason, to support the new buyer in any way I can for months after the sale and beyond, honestly. So yeah, pretty much unlimited support and assistance. And the only thing I ask in return is that the name and audience are respected.
Are you open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
No, I would not do any of that. I think this would make sense for like a bigger business or more, let's say, a business of a greater structure, maybe with team members involved or things like that has a little bit more sort of rigid structure. I think for this one, the new buyer probably sees a lot of kind of low-hanging fruit or ways that this could really be grown quite a lot. I don't think a buyer should be kind of worried about hitting any kind of targets or anything. It should be more a question of, okay, the listing is on, it's quite a cheap listing compared to the age and the quality of the backlinks and the kind of branding and the position in the industry. That is very well known, has a very positive reputation, absolutely no black hat or gray hat. So because it's kind of listed at such a low price, it can't come with strings attached to like an earn-out payment structure. But, I think a buyer would probably be happy to kind of snag it up and sees the potential in it. And therefore, I don't think this would ever be a question, but obviously happy to chat about everything and anything. But I don't think this would be in the interest of the buyer because it would probably be increase the price contingent on certain targets being hit. And I think the buyer would be more happy to get a real bargain with no strings attached.
Okay, final question. If you had to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer, why is your business a business worth buying?
I answered this in a few of the other answers, but if you haven't heard those, I think there's a unique opportunity to buy a very consistent business, been going for over 11 years. That's also at the same time kind of like a blank canvas in terms of where you can go with it. It's a great foundation, and there's a certain level of guaranteed income in this like seasonality that the industry has. So even if you do nothing else, you'll at least have that. It's a very low priced business compared to other businesses, but it's also one that hasn't been kind of tarnished by black hat SEO, gray hat, private blog networks, or AI. There's no AI used, all these things. You really have quite a pure website and with a ton of great backlinks as well. And I know that it's done very good revenue compared to the kind of hours that I've put into it. So if somebody had a team or a process or an experience to put in the real effort into it, then you could certainly grow it, I would say, quite quickly. And it's got a great brand in the industry, a lot of great connections, a lot of great kind of history, and you includes email funnels and things like that. So I think this is a really good opportunity. It's rare, I think, that you get businesses like this on the market. Usually you would get very new businesses, of course, or you would get ones with very questionable attributes, like the kind of fart in the wind kind of businesses, that just come and go. But this one has been very stable for many years, and it has systems built in and a great audience, great brand. So really, there's nothing negative about this, and especially at the price. I mean, it's a very cheap listing that you can grow. And, if you don't really want to put too much more effort into it, well, at least you have that kind of seasonality to it where there's a virtually guaranteed cash injection. At least that's been very consistent for me over the past years, even though I haven't really put too much effort into adding new content. But if you're in a capacity of where you could add new content consistently, you really have a fantastic kind of starting point with this business. Yeah, obviously also the previous owner, me, or seller, I should say, being able to assist in handover and making all the introductions, sharing all my knowledge, all my information, that's a huge bonus as well. It's not just here's the website, give me the money, and we'll never talk again. No, we'll make sure that the handover is authentic and legit. And, what the buyer does with it after that, I can't really control, but I can only hope that they're willing to kind of respect the audience and the legacy that the site has had, because it's been a very dear project for me.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this business is still for sale, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for this business listing number, which you can find in the video thumbnail and description. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll find everything you need to know about this business. So, thanks for joining us. See you next time.